welcome to another episode of Not Too Deep, the award-winning podcast. I'm your host, Grace Ann Helbig the First. This is a very exciting episode. We have MARIBETH, not to be confused with Meredith Monroe. If you don't know her, she's an amazing comedian, actress, writer, and new mom. You've seen her on Workaholics. She's on The Good Place, and she's just genuinely the kindest, sweetest woman that plays basically a straight-up bitch constantly on television. And so enjoy this wonderful conversation with MARIBETH Monroe.
Not too deep.
Are you craving flavor and refreshment this summer? Pick up one of the 3 flavors of Bud Light Chelada, original, extra lime, and the newest member of the family, mango. Bud Light Chelada is perfect for drinking at brunch, on the beach, or just hanging out with friends in the sun. Pick up a Bud Light Chelada today and learn more at budlight.com. Bud Light Chelada, flavor that refreshes.
Not too deep. Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
MARIBETH, thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, Grace.
This is so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Well, tell me, okay, I really want to know this story already, that you were turning your phone off and said that you've had a problem before because it went off into testing.
Yes.
Which for people that don't know, a testing basically means you've made it to the final countdown of getting onto a TV show, and you are testing in front of directors, writers, producers, like the main people.
You want it to be your most professional moment. You want it to be the time where they're like, oh, she's not only amazing talent, but and a phone ringing, your phone going off kind of shatters all that. But they were very cool, and I knew it was a very casual test. It was before the network,
Gotcha.
Before I actually went in front of network. So it was just the creator of the show,
Sure.
and the executive producer and the casting person. But it was fine. It was fine, but still just really embarrassing and very easily fixable.
Yeah. They're like,
it's just the easiest thing you can do.
Yeah. You hate to be that person.
Exactly.
Okay. I have a bone to pick with you a little bit.
Oh my God, it's going to get spicy so soon.
Yeah. I have been trying to do my research on you, but it's really hard because
there's nothing out there on me. No,
well, that sort of, because you have not posted on Instagram since 2015. And as someone that lives and thrives on the internet, this is problematic to me.
I was anticipating this was going to be a subject of conversation.
I want to start off with why.
Okay, so it's a lot about laziness with me.
Gotcha.
Truly.
Yeah.
And I'm so old school. Like, I still kind of keep up Facebook,
Yeah.
which is so embarrassing to say.
No, that's good. That's a thriving community. I don't keep up with Facebook, so that's me being lazy.
But also, it's really helping you out to do the social media that you do.
Sure.
And I kind of feel like I weirdly missed the boat. I think generationally. I know that sounds so strange, but I'm in that weird middle generation where we didn't have cell phones for a period of time and then got cell phones. Right. We were like, technology was like thrown at us.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I kind of came up with. And I feel like even that 5-6 years difference would have probably helped me social media wise a lot more. But I don't have any hangups about it. I think it's great. I think wish I was better at it.
No, I think it's healthy. I think the way you are living your life, I almost got jealous and I was like, wow, she hasn't posted in 4 years. This is really actually kind of ambitious and inspiring.
We're gonna see how it plays out. Yeah. I mean, I think my career might be helped greatly if I was more out there. So,
but you're on Twitter. I see you on Twitter. I'm doing stuff.
I'm more voyeur on Twitter, and then I'll be like, I got a show, LA. I mean, I'm just really bad about it. And I do think I went down a road in the initial phases of Twitter where I didn't like how much pressure I put on myself initially.
Yeah.
And when I feel like anxietal or something about something, I am kind of like, bye. Like, I'm done. Because I don't want any added anxiety that I already don't experience from career or
for sure.
Name it, relationships, whatever, family. 100%. And so I feel like I looked at it as like, there's this added thing that I'm voluntarily doing.
Yes.
And then I also do have some friends where I'm like, you need to not have Instagram in your life. it's ruining your life. Like,
I'm looking at this,
changing perspectives where I'm like, oh no, now this is affecting your family.
Yeah.
Like this is really bad. So I do have feelings when it becomes an issue, but I feel like you have a healthy relationship with it. I mean, look at what you've built because of it. You know?
There's also I completely relate to the anxiety that comes with the pressure of having to like, forward your career by maintaining like a social media presence in some way, shape, or form, and also getting like just bogged down by how like gross it can be and how just like mean it can be sometimes.
Very mean. And I will say I've just had a child like 7 months ago or so, which we can talk about later.
Yes, please.
But I felt like I've seen some examples of like, oh, wow, like that can really impact your child.
Yes.
And how much do I want my child to be out there? I don't think I'm like in the celebrity world of like that it would cause a huge difference in her life, but you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then all this stuff is out there about her and about me and about my life. And like, that makes me nervous.
No, it seems like you have a very rational sense of boundaries and privacy.
It took a lot of work, girl, but I got there. I got there eventually in my life, and I'm exercising it through social media, which isn't really a big stand, but I'll take it. It's a good boundary.
In 2019, sure.
Yeah,
I think
so.
that's impressive. Okay, so talk me through. So you grew up in Detroit.
Yes.
Okay, and then did you come from Detroit straight to LA?
Yes, and I'm going to have one little sidebar about that because it's a thing in Detroit.
Yeah.
I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit.
I went to a wedding in the suburbs of Detroit.
Oh, let me
years and years ago.
Is it West Bloomfield?
I believe
Bloomfield
so.
Hills?
I was like a +1, so I was like, we're going to Detroit, okay, and then saw this like beautiful, like
it's
upper
a
middle
beautiful
class,
area.
like suburban area. Yeah,
most of the people I meet out here in LA who've been to Detroit have gone to West Bloomfield, which is a suburb of Detroit.
Yeah,
but I do want to say like, it is a thing with Detroiters. I'm not going to say I'm a Detroiter because I wasn't born and raised in the city. I was metropolitan Detroit, and I have a lot of friends. I'm like, you grew up in Buffalo and you're telling people you grew up in Detroit. And it's like, it's kind of a thing. It's a little offensive to people. So I just want to point that out that I am metropolitan Detroit, but I went to school in Detroit and I have such a great connection. Second City, Detroit, all of that. But yes.
So you started doing Second City there. How old were you when you started doing that?
I was like 20 years old.
Wow.
When I started Second City. I was on the main stage by 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what drew you to that
and
initially?
I'm 63 now.
Wow.
So it's amazing.
I mean, God bless. And we'll get you
Still
on Instagram.
Improvising. Still improvising.
No, so what drew you to improv?
So I was mainly an athlete. Like my goal was to play volleyball in college. That's what I wanted to do.
Really?
Yeah,
that's so fun.
I had 3 older brothers and a very sports-driven family.
Same. I was a jock in high school.
Oh my gosh.
I have all brothers, and same
amazing.
situation.
How many brothers do you have?
I have 3, a stepbrother and 2 brothers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you get it. Are you the youngest by any chance?
No, I'm kind of middle.
Middle. Okay. So you're the middle child thing.
Yeah, my younger brother's gay, so he's kind of my sister. So it's like a little, a little bit of balance. But
that's great. I was the youngest. In that weird middle and youngest, I feel like tend to be the creators, artists, actors. But I was a major jock, and then high school I got bit by the theater bug. I just randomly auditioned because a friend was like, "Do this with me," and I was like, "Okay," and then I did it, and I got like the lead in the play, and I was like, "Well, things are changing." Not gonna try to go to college.
Easy.
Yeah, I was like, this is fun. And then you just kind of, I'm sure the same thing happened to you once you started performing. It's just like you are obsessed with it.
Yeah.
La da da. And then I went to school for it, and there was a Second City Detroit at the time, which we lovingly referred to as like the little stepchild of the Second City Chicago. And I just took a job. I was going to Wayne State University for theater, for musical theater, and I took a job as a cocktail waitress to pay my way through school. And I was a junior at the time, and I saw improvisation, and I was like, this is freaking magic. I don't know how these people do this. I fell in love. And really long story short, again, it was the most random break. There were no women in improv at the time. There were like 5 women that could potentially be on the stage there. And I was serving drinks, and I had started taking improv in college, and I took an improv class at Second City, and I was directed by one of the main stage cast members, and they were like, do you want to audition? Because we have someone leaving. And so I improvised for like 2 or 3 weeks on the main stage with this cast.
Wow.
Like I'd be serving, they had this joke where it was like, and here's your drink, freeze. And then I'd jump up and I'd be like jumping into the set. But I did that for I auditioned with them for like 3 weeks, played like 3 or 4 sets. And then I was hired on the main stage, not knowing what the hell I was doing. So I basically learned how to improvise on the Second City Detroit stage, which was nuts.
For people that don't know how that system works, you audition to get hired, which basically is a paying gig then at that point.
Which is amazing. It's an equity gig. I quit school. I mean, I quit college, and I was like, here's this journey.
Yeah.
So I started with Second City, and it's one of the only equity paying gigs. The only way you can make money as an improviser.
Yeah.
So I kind of like struck the lottery out of the gate. And then that kind of began my Second City career, which I did for the next 9 years of my life.
That's nuts. Okay. So then where did you go from Detroit?
Detroit, I went to Chicago.
You went to Chicago,
Second City. And then I did the touring company for about 8 months, did some theatrical stuff. But then in 2003, I got hired on the main stage there. So I did that for 3 years. And then I was off to LA after that.
And then touring company means you basically just go wherever they have shows booked for you.
That's correct. Yes.
And how was that?
Oh my God.
Because I can't imagine that touring outside of Chicago doing improv, that it's met with like either this is the greatest thing ever or what the fuck is happening in front of us.
I mean, Grace, don't you want to get in a van with 6 other people, make about $50 a show, and just learn about like dry counties in Kansas or dive bars in Birmingham.
Just screaming, I have arrived in every city.
I have made it. But you're so young. You're like, I am doing it. Like when you're making money at improv, it's like, you know, you're just
because that's
like,
an impossible feat.
Impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, impossible. I still have people, my friend Jamie Mori and I, a fellow improviser, we go around to improv theaters throughout the country still to this day. And just because we love it. And we get to do our 2-person show and we make a little bit of money, but it's more about like workshopping and just us spending a girls' weekend together.
Oh, heck yeah.
And we love it so much. But again, I still weirdly get the feeling of like, I can't believe I do this for a living.
Yeah.
Like I get to talk about improv and like work with improv theaters. It's like, I still feel a little bit like I made it in that respect. But but in your 20s, you're just like, if I can make my rent, I will eat, you know, a white bread and peanut butter if I get to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I'll eat saltines for the rest of my life because this is the most thrilling thing ever.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Okay, so then you came out to Los Angeles from Chicago, or you got hired on the main stage in Chicago.
In Chicago. Did that for 3 years.
Okay. And then moved out to LA.
Moved out to LA.
What was like that defining factor that you're like going out there doing it?
Didn't get SNL or Mad TV.
There you go.
So,
okay, that'll do it.
So I was like, I think my improv sketch comedy career has is a little done.
Yeah.
Now I need to just kind of explore the acting portion of it. So, but yeah, I was flown out to SNL and that didn't happen. And
that experience. I've also auditioned for SNL and it's
oh girl,
it's insane.
It's now I am not. I feel like a lot of things were against me. I'm not an impressionist.
Same. I'm not. I just kind of did internet a little bit when they were looking for someone that was like had a digital presence.
Sure.
And it was like
that like when was that like 2012?
That was like 2011.
11.
Something
yeah,
like
I was gonna
that.
say like that's kind of when I felt like
But it's the most insane process. Like, how was it for you?
It was. Did you sit in a room for 6 hours and then you go out there? And mine was in front of like Tina Fey.
I couldn't even see. They were all backlit and shadowy. And then Seth Meyers shook our hands on the way out. And so I was like, so I guess you were in the room, okay?
Yeah, and it was very quiet.
Yes.
I got some titters, but
I got titters that I thought were people like suppressing coughs. I was like,
exactly. I'm like, are you eating a sandwich? Yeah. Or am I funny? I don't know. That's what I'm basing it on. And I was in a group with like Andy Samberg and Kristen Wiig. And they both got hired, which deservedly so.
Sure.
I mean, there's never been a part of me that's like, I was this close. I'm like, no, I was pretty far from that.
I was set up to fail.
I was in a very talented group and God bless. And so, I mean, that was what it was.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful for it because so many, you know, I'm not a live in regret or analyze the past kind of person anyway. But it led to so many wonderful things like coming out to LA and all of that. And I'm a huge Kristen Wiig fan. And
heck yeah. I mean, like she's
inspirational.
Undeniably absolutely wonderfully talented.
Exactly.
And I've never met her, but I'd be very nervous because I feel like she's one of those people that just like oozes humility and like graciousness.
Yes.
And you're like, so you're perfect. Okay. Got it.
So this makes my SNL experience even worse, Kristen. Yeah. Thank you for being all so amazing. But yeah, I've met her a couple of times and she is all of those things. So that's
awesome.
another thing you can't like begrudge. the talent and a good person. It's
100%.
like amazing.
So then you came out to LA.
Yep.
And then what were the first couple years like in LA? How long before you came out to LA did you end up on Workaholics?
Oh gosh. So let's see. I started Workaholics in 2010. I came out in 2006, and I had some failed things that occurred in the meantime. I actually did an improv-based show called Thank God You're Here that was on NBC that lasted for 7 count 'em episodes.
Whoa.
Before it was tragically canceled.
Wow.
And deservedly so. No, it was fine. But it was a big Australian show. And it was an interesting concept because you had a core cast of improvisers that I was a part of, and we were given a script.
Okay.
And then you had an improviser, or a celebrity such as yourself that would come on. Chelsea Handler was on our show,
Cool.
Wayne Knight from Seinfeld, all these people, Jason Alexander, and they would not have a script, but they would be given a wardrobe and they'd walk into a set that was like a doctor's office. And so the first line they would hear is, "Thank God you're here, doctor. We have to perform this surgery." And we'd be like on a script and they wouldn't.
Oh, wow.
And so they'd have to improvise their way through this scripted scene.
That's a lot for the guests to do.
Yeah, a lot for the guests to do. And I think that's why we only did 7 episodes.
Wow.
I mean, it could succeed beautifully as per, improv can go. Like Bryan Cranston was amazing scene. There were some scenes that were incredible. Chelsea's, I think, was hilarious.
Amazing.
But then there were some that were like, there's no editing that can solve this.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of denial. And I don't know how much improvising you've ever done, but like it's based in yes and.
Yeah.
And because we're on a script, it was like, yeah, I'm sorry, you just told me you loved me. I have to stick to the script that I'm doing. And then you're just cutting people
But then also
off.
as improvisers, you're like, I'm now beholden to a script and all I want to do is say yes to this person right now.
Which weirdly, I'm like, why did you hire improvisers?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're telling me not to improvise and I have to stick to the script. And yet this other person who's normally on script is improvising.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a weird.
It seems a little backwards.
But it was a huge hit in Australia. It was an Australian show that was a huge hit. And
they're also backwards. So who knows? I mean,
the toilet goes down the other way. I'd never thought of that. It's a below the equator problem.
Yeah. So it wasn't you guys.
Oh my God. I feel so much better about my first break in LA because of that.
So that was your first break.
Yes.
Okay. And then what happened from there?
Tons of commercials, I think, such as yourself. Like lots of commercial work, which really paid my way. And I honestly miss to a certain degree.
Really?
It wasn't.
I don't miss commercials. Well, I do. Like the one that I did, Lowe's, allowed me to move to Los Angeles.
Yes.
So I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But the commercial auditioning process, I'm just not good at. I can't do it.
That's the one thing I was going to say. Like, I miss the actual, just the work, and like, it's such quick money.
Right.
And like, you do kind of get your face out there in this really accessible way. Everybody sees you. And especially if you get a great commercial that's funny and shows you off a little bit. But the auditioning process, I tell people this that are like, well, what's the difference from when you were like doing commercial to now? And I'm like, honestly, I think the better jobs I've gotten, especially as of late, like The Good Place and things like that. The people are so much like nicer, and like the directors are so much more wonderful.
They
and
value you in a way that you're not just cattle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the biggest egos I've ever run in with, frankly, are commercial directors.
That's
not
so
all of them. I
funny.
have some friends who are commercial directors, so I don't want to lump them all together. But like the biggest egos where I'm like, I cannot believe you're speaking to me this way.
Yeah.
And like, we're doing a commercial, dude. Like, we are so low on this totem pole. Like, I know where I'm at. Why don't you know where you're at?
Yeah.
But you realize it's like this chip on their shoulder. Like, they want to be doing TV.
Yes, that this is like, they think that they're going to be the next Scorsese or the next Spielberg or whatever, that they are like, but they're doing a Tide Pod commercial.
After this Hungry Man TV dinner, I am going to go on and make some waves, And they're just like, so driven to do that, and it really affects them.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of been interesting, like having some things on my resume, like The Good Place or something like that. And then kind of maybe doing an audition or doing a commercial, which I guess I hadn't done The Good Place at the time, but kind of having some things, and then still being like them,
right?
like trying
So
to almost like
I I paid my dues, bro.
Like
I've done
worked
some work.
with some people. Like I'm not, that doesn't sound like a dick, but I'm like, I don't understand where this energy is coming from. Like, let's just keep it light and fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like the further I've gone in my career, I guess cream rising to the top or whatever, the better people I've worked with, the nicer people, which I think my 20-year-old self would have been like, oh God, if I, once I get to the movie land, it's going to be like, everybody's going to have egos and like people who have money just have egos. And I found it to be quite the opposite, which is delightful.
Yeah.
I don't know what your experience has been.
No, I also have I feel like kind of like lucky in a way to have worked with like really great people, and maybe like only a very small amount of times have encountered people that have been pretty intense.
Yeah.
But then I'm also kind of one of those like really curiously empathetic people to be like, why this must be coming, like they're hurt, like this must be coming from a broken place in them. And so I can't take this that personally. I mean, that's all in hindsight. At the time, I'm like, fuck you, you motherfucker.
I know inside you're just like stabbing them with daggers. But but I feel the same way. I think it's much more healthy to come at it. Like my husband has terrible road rage, and like he describes it as like, I just see the car. I don't think there's a person there. I just see the car. And I'm like, I'm like, you need to start thinking about that person. Like maybe they're rushing because someone's hurt or whatever. Right. And then like that switch, I think I've helped him gain empathy, but I feel like it's the same with career. It's like, like something, if you go like, something's happened to this person or it makes it a lot easier to deal with
it makes it easier to tolerate assholes, I think.
Definitely.
And also just because I have Catholic guilt from growing up.
Oh,
constantly.
Lutheran guilt. Oh, girl.
There you go.
We need to have coffee after this. We have a lot of similarities, I feel like. Siblings and religion.
100%. Okay, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, I want to talk about Workaholics, The Good Place, and basically like just being a mom that's fucking dominating right now. Yeah. We'll be right back with more Not Too Deep.
Not too deep.
When it comes to shopping for clothes, most of us are amateurs, says the girl that wears sweatshirts every day of every week of every year. So why not let professionals handle it? With Stitch Fix, a stylist will do all of the work for you. Stitch Fix is an online personal styling service that delivers your favorite clothing, shoes, and accessories directly to you. You just complete your style profile, and your expert personal stylist will send you a box of hand-picked items from brands you know and love with exclusive styles you won't find elsewhere. They even have men's and kids' boxes with no subscription required. Pick between automatic shipments or getting new pieces on demand. Shipping, exchanges, and returns are always free. Plus, the $20 styling fee is automatically applied towards anything you keep from your box. Get started today at stitchfix.com/grace and get an extra 25% off when you keep everything in your box. That's stitchfix.com/grace. Stitchfix.com/grace.
Not too deep.
Did you binge Making a Murderer or the Bundy tapes? I for sure did both of those things. So many people can't get enough of true crime stories, and if you're one of them, you need to check out Crime Junkie. It's named one of the best true crime podcasts by Rolling Stone. Crime Junkie covers all kinds of true crimes, from the most notorious to the stories you've never heard before. They'll even make you think twice about cases you thought you were sure about. Their stories are straightforward and packed with information, but told in a way that makes you feel like you're talking to your best friend. There are over 85 episodes you can go binge right now, and they have over 50,000 five-star reviews, so you know you won't be disappointed. Crime Junkie releases new episodes every Monday. Visit Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening now and search for Crime Junkie to get a true crime fix. Okay, let's talk about the audition process for Workaholics.
Okay.
How did that come about? Did you know what it was? Did you?
No idea what it was. Okay. And there's a lot of really weird circumstances that came with that. So I was the very first actress to audition for Alice.
Really?
I was the first person they brought in.
That's nuts.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
So that was the weird thing. And then also I found out later that Anders, when I was on the main stage in Chicago, was in the writing program in Chicago and was living in Evanston. That's where his family's from. And he saw me in a show called Red Scare. Okay. And he and his girlfriend, now wife, mother of their two children, they would mimic me in a scene throughout, like for the next 4 years.
Like
we would just do this thing.
They had an inside joke about you.
Joke about a scene that I did on the show.
Oh my
show. And so I was the first person to audition, and he said he was the first audition he watched, and he was like, that's the girl. That's the girl that me and Emma, and he like told the rest of the boys about me.
Wow.
And they ended up seeing another 200 people or so,
Holy
like
shit.
a crazy amount of people. And then I was brought in for a callback with the casting, and the whole prom. I did it like 5 times, and then finally auditioned for network. And when I met Anders, he's like, do you know how crazy this is? And so when I go around to like these improv theaters, I'm like, you never know who is going to see you. Like my soon-to-be boss, who never even met the guys to make Workaholics, saw me back in like 2002.
That's nuts.
And I got a job that changed my career.
Right.
Because he liked what I did. So it's like, we always tell these improvisers coming up, like, you're going to fail and you're going to like shit the bed, but like the least you can do is just try to have fun every show and respect the audience that's watching you because you don't know who's out there. Not that you should do every show like my next, I'm going to make
Lauren
it.
Michaels is in this audience every time.
But he could be.
He might be.
I've heard he's sneaky like that. He just shows up places. But yeah, it's you never know. And so long story short, that's how I got that. It was kind of like a real kismet-y kind of
the
weird,
universe kind of like paired this up. It was a long con.
It was like a long little script that I was not know being written. And also I think just it was the first time I got to embrace playing one of the most miserable people.
Well, that's so interesting because your characters that you play are these like harsh, abrasive women, and you are such a kind, sweet, lovely person that it's like true acting.
Thank you. And I do feel like it's a very weird thing that I've fallen into in niche-wise. But
it also must be therapeutic in a way to play this person that's completely seemingly opposite of you, to be like, I'm going to get out all of my ish through this character.
100%. Like, I feel like I was the happiest during, like, on a personal level during my time with Workaholics.
Because I just happiest playing a full-time bitch.
Because I just had like 3 dudes to just take out all my venom on totally safely.
And get paid for it.
Get paid for it. And then like it could just go out with the rest of my life. God, I left all that at work. And now I can just enjoy myself. It's so true.
That's so fun.
I feel like it was the best. Honestly, I've been in therapy, like in and out, as we all have in this business. And it is the most therapeutic to just kind of get to pour all of that into someone.
And it seems like a very fun work environment. Like they're all very fun humans. I've met a couple of them like on and off camera, and like they just seem like they're a lot like their characters, it's heightened sense of, character, but it also seems like the environment was just like, I can't believe we get to do this. Let's make it the most fun ever.
Exactly. And the improv background that all of them have, or at least respect. I think Anders and Adam and Kyle Newacek have more of the improv background, but just coming from that place of like yes-anding and like we would always have fun runs and oh my gosh, make it your own, do what you ever do what you want to do. We'd always do the script, but on top of that, get to play, which for me is a dream. 20-year-old self is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
like,
this is what
more $50 in a bag. Like, we're actually doing it. So it's great.
And how long did you do that show for? 6 years?
We did 7 seasons in 6 years.
In 6
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we did one,
Which
I
is
think
like,
just 1 year where we doubled up, and that was crazy. Those poor boys and were exhausted. But yeah, I can't believe it's like over. It feels like yesterday, but then it also feels like so long ago. Like I miss everybody so much. You become such a wonderful dysfunctional family.
Oh, 100%.
That you just can't believe you don't get to see every day anymore. But we all still really keep in touch. And they were at my wedding. Anders came to my baby shower. Like Anders and I have particularly maintained a great relationship.
That's really great. Yeah. That's very
Those
sweet.
guys are the best. And look at them, look at Jillian. And Jillian's one of my dearest friends. And they're all just doing so great. And we're all happy, and it's just, it's
awesome.
nice to see.
And it's a very rare thing that a show gets that lifeline. Like that's so nuts. And you're in it being like, I'm going to do the best I can, but this is so many other factors that like, here's fingers crossed that we get to keep doing this.
100%. That first season, I was like, if I don't get to keep doing this, like, and luckily it caught fire. And especially with the Comedy Central show too, I feel like a lot of them, like the Reno 911s or
Yes.
whatever. Those are like my generation, but like they some of them get amazing runs, which Workaholics did. But
Yeah.
you know, some of them it's like 2-3 seasons,
Yep.
bye, 2-3 like great shows that are like gone. So it was just great that we caught fire like that.
Do you have people that come up to you in the street as Alice? Like
It's yes.
And is it majority like young boys?
Yes.
With skateboards and things like
oh
that?
my gosh, with skateboards. And now it's weird because like it's catching fire with new, like younger generations.
Oh, because
like,
it's
my nephews couldn't watch it at the time because they were like 7, 8, you know, and now they're like in their teens and it's
and
like.
do they think you're the coolest aunt in the whole
God,
universe?
the coolest. No, like, we can't believe you were doing this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad because I would have ruined you.
Yeah,
But so I didn't want your little
I didn't
precious
said
brain.
things that you would not be able to look at me the same.
And I'm kind of uncomfortable now that you have seen those things. So it's weird because even younger, I think the weirdest thing is just when like, and this is kind of weird to point out, but like I did at the time have like 13, 14-year-old fans who would be kind of weird on Twitter. And I'd be like, ugh. And another reason probably why I've shied away from social media because, you know, the show itself kind of lends itself to such a body. I'm being very political, diplomatic about this, but it's a real dirty show.
Yep.
And so these young kids would just be like, kind of saying vulgar things
that they
about,
feel like they have permission to like oogle you, ogle you, say things that like if you like.
Why am I preaching to the choir? I'm sure this is something you
I don't
deal
experience
with.
that. You've been kind of lumped into a crowd that their fan base is celebrating and supporting like men being a certain way.
Yes.
Even though
which also gets complicated in the hashtag Me Too world now. Like we kind of just missed that.
Yeah, I know.
So I
can't
can't imagine
oh, wow. Yeah.
how my character would be viewed or how some of the humor of the show would be viewed. I've thought about that a lot of like, oh my God, we were of a time. And I don't think that show could
and PC
do a
culture
lot of the things.
and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, God bless you millennials. Like I love Amy. I don't know if you've seen Amy Schumer's stand-up special.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Well, she just has this great bit, not ruining anything for you, where she's like, didn't the millennials do something for our generation that we so appreciate? Where they came up and were like, can you believe this is happening? And then my generation is like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird. And the millennials are like, do you want to change this? And we're like, yeah, I do kind of want to change this. Like this great bit where you're like, you guys just put into a light some things that I think we've just, women in comedy, especially better or worse, have dealt
some of
with.
it's wonderful and absolutely necessary. And then, you know, there's some points where you're like, what can anyone say about anything?
And that's what's scary too. I talk about that a lot of like the political correctness. Like I would not want to be an improviser coming up right now because you have to like literally dodge landmines when you're learning how to improvise. And if you do something like I did so many inappropriate things. I made a joke. This is so awful, but on stage at the Second City, I made a joke about the tsunami happening when it happened. It had just happened.
Wow.
And it was New Year's Eve and my cast had been celebrating. We had some champagne backstage and I went out and I was like, blarf. Like this really distasteful joke that offended when the letters were written.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was really bad and I felt terrible. But it was just a slip. It wasn't my heart. It's
not your intention. It's not.
It was a bad mistake.
Yeah.
And that's career ending now. Like if it's done
that's why improv is
even in a podcast or in, you know.
Improv is scary because you can't edit it out. It's literally in the moment. So you have to be that much more cognizant of every single thing that you are saying.
And in this hyper PC world,
it's nuts.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I'm kind of out of that scene.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about The Good Place.
Oh, let's do it.
How did this happen? I mean, this is a show that's like massive, like Workaholics. It's huge.
Yeah.
I'm slightly familiar. I haven't done the full deep dive on everything.
No worries.
But it's obviously like people love it. It's massive. It's one of those like, hits that rarely happens.
Culty. Culty show.
Yes.
So I worked on Parks and Recreation and that's where I met Mike Schur and Amy Poehler. And if you can believe it, this is the first time that something like this big has happened in my career, but it was an offer. Like they had I guess, thought of me for Mindy Sinclair
Cool.
out of the gate, which was so flattering.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of like, really? Like, I deserve that? Like, it's just weird. Like,
And then you're
I
like,
can't
this is my
believe it.
type. I play this type.
I know. Well,
I play
and
this cokehead.
and then you think about it, and I'm like, why was that so surprising to me? Miserable cocaine addict from like the 80s who like has to deal with warm beer and live in this medium place. But yeah, so it was an offer, and this is such an insecure actor thing. But my first response, honestly, Grace, was like, okay, who dropped out? It's so terrible. And Kristen Bell, I was on set with Kristen Bell, and she's like, no, he thought of you, and just own it and enjoy it. And I'm like, all right, it's just that
like,
you
I
don't,
get
you feel
that.
like you don't deserve it or
Right,
something. And I'm like,
right,
God,
right.
why can't I just like enjoy?
Yeah, well, no,
this?
we had Tony Hale on a couple weeks ago. He said the
I
same
love
thing.
Tony
This like
so much. Yeah.
imposter syndrome of being like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Am I going to be found out that they offered to the wrong person? Right
It's
now?
always that. Like, they know who I am, right? They're not
Right.
confusing me with a Meredith Monroe or something, you know? Like, it's so true. But yeah, so I was offered it, and I was not deep. I did not do a deep dive on the show until I was cast in it, honestly. And then I was like, oh my God, this show looks so weird and so broad. And it's like, it was not what I thought on first viewing.
Yeah.
And then the more I've watched the show, and I think the more America's watched the show, it's this very philosophical show, very smart show. But also with this very relatable comedy, and it's like bright colors and this very surreal world. So I just feel like it just naturally, I'm blanking on the word I'm trying to find, but it's intriguing to everybody.
And
a big demographic, it casts a wide net.
Yeah. Also, I heard you on like the Good Place podcast talking about how like they didn't tell you, and like you had to be informed when you got on set. Like, here's kind of what's going on. It's really
so
secretive,
top secret.
right?
It's still so top secret.
Really?
I just filmed 2 weeks ago, and I was just given like
your scenes.
Yes. And like rough outline of like what's to be. So I don't know if I'm going to be, I don't know what's coming up. I don't really know.
So they give you enough to act.
Yes. Yes. And enough to act and like rough outlines. But they, you know, I think the show, because of the reveals that they've done, have been so epic,
Right.
that they're just uber protective.
Wow.
And like, so I don't know if I'm coming back this season. I hope so, but I hope that wasn't it for Mindy. But
that's also so insane that I don't think people understand with actors and actresses that you get your, you know, storylines and you get the episodes that you're in, and then you just kind of have to sit and wait and hope that the writers decide that you should be part of the next storyline.
And that you've done a good job, and you kind of like hope that, you know, the audience has loved me enough that they want to see me back. And all indicators point in that way, but it's also like, oh God, what if that was it? It is that feeling of like, am I saying goodbye to Mindy? Is this the last time on this set? So
weird.
It's weird, but super fun, and I'm grateful. But it's like, it's a weird thing.
What's the fan base like for The Good Place versus Workaholics?
Definitely some ladies are involved now in my fan base, which is real fun. I love you, ladies.
New and wonderful.
I love having them come up to me. But it's been interesting because I've had just as many people come up to me about The Good Place than I did as Workaholics. And I think it's like network, cable, you know, it's more people are seeing it. But it is kind of this wild thing of like, I've only done 4 episodes of the show, and people are like, the show, like there's just so much love about it. It's impactful, and the character's been impactful. But yeah, it's been lovely. And I feel like, oh God, I'm not going to be in a bar and have like, you know, God bless you all, but drunk frat boy come up and just sit in my lap. Yeah. I mean, that has flat out happened where I'm eating meal with friend, boy sits in lap. And I'm like, I'm not your mommy, and I'm trying to have dinner.
Yeah, I'm not Santa or your mother. So please
leave. And only time I got really like pissy with a fan, but I was like, that's insane.
And that's 100% warranted.
Thank you, Grace.
There are
Thank
boundaries.
You. There are boundaries.
What do you watch in your own time, if anything? What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? Well, the last 7 months have been baby.
You got baby
specific.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a lot of no sleep and just trying to like keep up on content because, as you know, I'm sure that you know you've fallen into the same thing of just needing to keep up on content for what I do. You know, so obviously I'm a Game of Thrones fan. Definitely watch that. That's been a big escape during baby time to get to do that. But I just finished Shrill with with
I don't even know what
A.D.
this
Bryan.
is.
Oh my God, it is
So good?
outstanding.
Okay. Note to self.
She is, A.D. Bryan
Yeah,
on SNL,
yeah.
so she just kind of like takes on like a millennial perspective on dating.
Oh, yes. We were talking about this in a recent episode.
Yes, and she is just like
So good.
She's so comedically wonderful on SNL, and then to get to watch her do this, I was like, oh, I have a whole new. I'm a brand new fan.
great.
I watch a lot of stand up, so
Oh,
the Amy
cool.
Schumer special, like I'm big fans of.
Do you do stand up?
No,
No?
I am terrified of that.
Same.
Weirdly,
I would never. It's the one thing I won't. I've done improv, but stand up is so scary.
it
to
is
me.
the loneliest, like
Yeah.
most naked that you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
possibly be.
Yeah.
And some get naked. Tig Notaro.
Yeah.
Amy Schumer flashed her whole, I don't want to ruin that for you, but like she was pregnant and like, some actually get naked. But yeah, I need someone up there with me.
Yeah.
Like I'll go for it, but I want someone to bail me
For
out
sure, for
if,
sure.
if possible. But it's a lot of stand up. Trying to think, I watch a lot of documentaries.
Okay, tell me. I need recommendations.
So just watched The Heart of Gold, the new one on HBO about the gymnastics.
I haven't seen that one yet.
This is the thing, and tell me if you do the same thing, because you're in a very lighthearted world like I am,
Sure.
comedy and everything. So I weirdly gravitate towards darker.
Dark. Yeah, I watch all of every like serial killer, all the murder, everything. Yeah, all that stuff.
Not to get too deep,
Yeah.
but I went through, before I had my daughter, I went through a miscarriage,
Uh-huh.
and it was therapeutic for me because the only thing I could watch
Yeah.
were shows that had no children in it.
Yeah.
No laughter, no jokes, because I didn't want to see other people be feeling
Yeah,
happiness. I
that
know
makes
that sounds,
total-
but it was like this 2 weeks of forensic files.
Yeah.
And, looking back on it with a sense of humor, I was like, oh my God, hoarders, my 600-pound, like these terrible things where I'm like, why was I like doubling down?
100%.
But it's like, it was all I could do. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't.
But that
Expose
makes
myself.
total sense. I mean, my guilty pleasure is all reality television,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is garbage for your brain. But
It is.
sometimes my brain just wants to have an easily digestible meal.
100%.
That's Real Housewives
Yes.
for me.
Oh, so do you know my friend Amy Phillips? Who does
Uh,
all the Real Housewives impersonations?
Yes, yes.
So that's her whole world
Yeah.
too. Is like that the fan base that you're talking
gotta
about.
talk
But
to her.
she's amazing. She
I'm
has her own
obsessed.
show, Sirius Radio, about this. But yes. So I'm really into the darker documentaries. But I watched all of on a lighter note, Serena Williams's documentary
I
on
watched that
HBO.
on a plane.
What'd you think?
It was a little, I liked it because I think she rules and
Yes.
it's really cool.
Then it just ended.
Yes, that's what I was like.
I was
Do they
like,
only
what?
have? I watched it on the plane and like a full flight, watched like all the episodes, and then I was like, do they only have this many episodes on this flight, or is this how it ends? Oh, it's how it ends.
It
Okay.
felt so. It was the
It was
one
abrupt.
time abrupt, and I'm like, "You're Serena Williams.
Yeah.
Like, you deserve like an epic 10 episodes." And it
Yeah.
felt so underproduced. And I
Yes,
was like,
that's
"How
what
are
I-
you underproduced?"
It
So it was a
felt
very
like-
interesting series to me.
Yeah,
But the breast pumping, and I was going through all of this at the time. So
yeah.
so pumping, and then her running out and winning.
Like-
I'm like. I
And her
can't even
winning-
like this. I haven't washed my hair in 3 days. Like this top knot is like the look for the next week, and I'm like, this girl is
I
going
know.
out and just crushing on a tennis court. Like,
And it's so nuts to me because I don't know what it's like to be an elite athlete in any way. But the idea that like she's going out and practicing to try and get back on her game, and people just find her court and just watch her, and
I
you're just
know.
like, oh, you're just under a microscope all the time,
Yeah.
and it's so nuts. Also, I love that Venus was like, she beat me, but I like to think it was 2-1.
oh my god,
I was like,
wasn't
you
that
guys are
amazing?
cute.
You guys are adorable. And how does that work?
I know.
Do you ever think about that? Like
Ugh.
jeepers, like they must have such an amazing relationship that
Or
it's
the
like,
worst. Who
or
knows?
the worst. It's either dysfunctional or brilliant,
Or
but it's
so-
working for them.
Yeah. No, I like that series, but I had the same exact kind of not notes. I'm not a network executive, but I was just like, oh, I wanted more from this. I
Yeah.
don't know what I wanted, but a little bit more. Also,
Yeah.
her husband is like the sweetest human. But I'm like,
my
oh,
gosh,
he loves her so much.
So much. And that relationship was fascinating to
Yeah.
watch because they are I
They're
guess they're not opposite in the sense of like business people. Like
Right.
she seems very business minded to me. And obviously he is amazingly business-minded. So that made sense.
Yeah.
But like otherwise just like not who I would anticipate her falling in love with.
No,
like,
but you're
I
kind of
love
like,
it.
I think I get that this could work because it seems so kind of completely out of left field. But
And someone that's that driven and has succeeded that much and has to have such an armor of like strength and like I'm a role model and I'm an icon and I've shattered stereotypes.
Yeah.
You want someone who's just going to take care of that person. Like I want her to have someone who just like you can be as vulnerable as you want.
Yep.
You can be as like flawed as you want.
Yep.
And I'm just going to treat you like a, like a princess. Like
Yep.
that's what I took away too of like, I kind of like
your maternal instincts are
that.
kicking in. You're
Yeah.
like, I want for Serena to have someone that
Someone
supports
needs
her.
to just cradle that little baby, that little tennis player in her arms and just nurse her back to happiness.
Okay, we're gonna take one last break, and when we get back, we have Twitter questions for
Ooh,
MARIBETH. I mean,
love it.
your favorite social
What's
media
Twitter?
platform. We'll explain it over the break.
Great.
We'll be right back with more Not Too Deep.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Skin. You heard me right. There are those among us with an insatiable thirst for adventure, the ones who embrace the unknown with wide-eyed wonder. Although your dreams might take you worlds away, you shouldn't neglect what's right in front of you. Skin's new line of intimate devices is designed to take your pleasure to new, undiscovered places. Like the Skin Vibes, a quiet yet powerful massager made to meet your unique needs and body. Skin Vibes has a curved, sensual shape. It can take you from 0 to O with 20 different speeds and pulsations, because when it comes to pleasure, there is no one size fits all. I sincerely hope my parents aren't listening to this episode. Don't settle for monotony. Explore intimacy with Skin Vibes, available for purchase at Rite Aid. Skin, feel everything.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp Online Counseling can help. They offer licensed professional counselors who are specialized in issues such as depression, anxiety, relationships, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem, and more. They connect you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment and get help at your own time, at your own pace. Anything you share is confidential. It's convenient. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, as well as chat and text with your therapist. And if for some reason you're not happy with your counselor, you can request a new one at any time for no additional charge. And best of all, it's affordable. And Not Too Deep with Grace Helbig listeners get a 10% discount off your first month with the discount code GRACE. So get started today. Go to betterhelp.com/grace. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor that you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/grace. Okay, MARIBETH, before we get into these Twitter questions, I'm going to ask you the two questions I ask every single guest
Great.
that is on the podcast.
Okay.
And the first is, who, alive or dead, would you most want to throw cold spaghetti at?
Cold spaghetti at.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Ayn Rand.
Oh, wow. That we have not gotten that answer in 200 plus episodes. And that was an immediate response. Can I ask why?
So I will start by saying I respect
Yes.
Ayn Rand
Yes.
as being one of the only female philosophers in history that truly impacted generations of
Sure.
people. And as a feminist,
Mhm.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
But what she's put out that fuels now a very twisted party. She's a philosopher that is kind of one of the faces of the Republican Party, to which
Yeah.
I very much stand against. I have to say she feeds the minds, and mine as well. I
Mhm.
read her at 21.
Yeah.
And most college age kids read her because it's the first philosopher that kind of explores being independent and, it's you against the world. And it's very anti altruism. It's very anti-charity. It's really about like just being selfish. And
Yeah.
I think, and it paints it in a very like, it will help the world, but ultimately I think it's one of the most dangerous philosophies to put
Ooh.
into young
Young
dare I
people's
say
minds.
it, especially young, privileged
Yes.
white male minds.
Yes.
And I think she has really, unfortunately, been a huge catalyst in that
Wow.
privileged world.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
I kind of would throw spaghetti. I wouldn't hurt her, but
No.
you said throw spaghetti.
Yeah, cold spaghetti.
I would throw cold spaghetti at her.
It would send her into a whirlwind of what does this mean?
Like, how dare you, in a very Russian accent, which I will not attempt.
The other question I ask every guest is to tell us your worst pants shitting story or like a close call, but you can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases. So mine is college, jogging, front lawn.
Audition,
Okay.
Santa Monica, 405.
Oh no.
But luckily it was after.
Okay.
Thank God. Thank God. But I was very ill. Yeah.
Oh no.
And I just, the 405. It was bumper to bumper. There's no getting off.
And so I feel like we've had a few people that have had their
The
pants shitting
405.
stories surrounded by either the 10 or the 405 in Los Angeles traffic.
I mean, just tons of tragedy on those roads.
I don't know why they don't make
Like
cars
with like just you could open up the seat or something.
Yeah, just like maybe that's what an RV is.
I'm telling you, that's like for LA, that would sell like hot fire.
Oh God! I mean, the new Teslas, I feel like, are gonna be insane. Okay, let's get into these Twitter questions.
Okay.
Someone wants to know, how does it feel being a boss ass bitch that gets shit done?
Ooh, it only happens on TV, Twitter fan, but I do love that I get to have that experience in a fictional way. I wish it bled more into my real life, but it feels good.
Is there another type of character that is outside of who you like naturally are that you would want to play?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do think I'm a relatively nice, kind, good-hearted person.
Yes, absolutely.
I would love to play that.
Yeah?
That would be fun. I'd love to play my ingenue days are over. I think my rom-com ingenue days are never happened because I'm definitely a character actress. But I would love to be like the love interest that's kind of boring but sweet and nice. Like, that'd be so fun.
I think that can happen.
Just as a departure. I love playing my miserable characters.
Everyone's going to think that that's you playing a character actress.
I know, right? Hilarious.
Okay, someone says, if she could pick one person to live alone in the medium place with, who would it be?
Like on the show, or am I casting a net like in the world? Like on the show?
On the show. I mean, either one.
So I've worked the most with Kristen, and she's delightful. And I think they have enough similarities, the characters, that they could find some common ground if they had to, if they were stuck on the medium place, like especially with her past.
Yeah.
But I haven't worked a lot with Ted Danson or Maya Rudolph. So the two of them, I would love to be stuck in the medium place with, and maybe I'll get that chance like on this season. But those two, I'm such like Cheers. I like grew up on. I mean, Ted Danson is just like the TV show, my TV show, like dad.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because Bill Cosby kind of ruined that.
Yes.
But I loved him too. And so now I've moved on to Ted.
There you go. Someone wants to know, from one MARIBETH to another, as a child, were you upset you couldn't find magnets with your name on them?
Oh, God bless this MARIBETH. Yes, it was really a bummer. And you had to settle for the MARY, which by the way, my legal name is MARYBETH, but my screen actor's name is MARIBETH.
Why is that?
Because in the 5th grade, Grace, it's a long story, but I was in a Lutheran school and we were learning about the Virgin Mary, and I didn't want to be called Mary. Because I just felt like it was too much to live up to.
You were so...
I was like, Virgin Mary. I'm like, I gotta do something here. I gotta mash up these names. So I literally started just spelling my name with an I. And my mom was like, the teacher said you're spelling your name with an I. And I'm like, I do not want to be like the Virgin Mary. Which what other kid any other kid would be like, I want to be like, oh my God, I have the most amazing name. Like I'm the mother of Jesus. And I was like, oh God, I can't.
Too much pressure.
I know where this life is going and I'm going to ruin that. So let's pull it together.
I cannot endure an immaculate conception. No, thank you.
Too much pressure.
So fucking funny. Oh my God. But
I was so sad about I was so sad about the magnets, and I'd had to settle for Mary, which goes against everything my 5th grade self wanted
so hard for.
to change.
Yeah. How many times do you get called Meredith?
Oh,
Constant.
Still like in casting sessions. I'm like, I know I'm not like huge celebrity, but like, can you look at your sheet?
look at
like,
the
but
paper.
people just want to go to Meredith.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a pretty name, but yeah, it's frustrating. It's annoying.
That is annoying. Someone wants to know, what is harder as a comedic actor, TV or improv?
Oh, I would say I would probably combine like improvising on TV. Like I do feel like sometimes when they're like, all right, fun run, Mary Beth, dazzle us.
And fun run.
Kristen Bell's right over there. And, Jason Mantzoukas, let's hear the fun. And I'm like, oh God, now I'm on the spot. So and there's no audience. So you're just improvising on set.
Oh God.
So that's a little.
And everyone has to be quiet so people can't laugh. So the thing that you're used to. Yeah. They were like, was that good? I have no idea.
That's the hardest. But in general, I would say, I think improv is ultimately the hardest art form that I've tried to tackle or tried to be successful at.
And you guys do an improv show is it a charity-driven show?
For the Detroit Creativity Project. Yes. So we've done it once before. It's called the Forking Shirt Show.
Yes.
Per the Good Place language. And it's great. Like this time we're going to have Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard are both going to be there.
Great.
And then Jason Mantzoukas, Sean, who plays Sean, Mark Evan Jackson, my friend, he hosts it for his charity.
And is it going to be eventually like a running show or just kind of whenever
how amazing
it works
would
for
that
everything?
be? If we could like tour that, I'll be back in the van, baby.
Hell yeah.
But this time with Kristen Bell, I'm down. No, but that would be incredible. But I think it's probably going to be more one-off just because of schedules. I mean, I don't know that Kristen Bell wants to tour a show right now. She's a little busy with like Frozen, voicing
Never
Frozen.
heard of it. Okay, last question. Someone wants to know, what's the worst and best advice that you've ever gotten and that you've ever given?
The worst and best advice I've ever gotten. Okay, so I don't know if this was advice, but like one of the first casting meet and greets I've ever done, which I'm sure you've done, where it's no audition, you just kind of go and it's a go-see or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just out of Michigan, or just out of Chicago to LA, but very green.
Yeah.
And you can hear my accent now, like even as I'm
bit,
talking to you, like it goes up into the nose, the Michigan nose a little bit. And it was really prominent when I first came to LA. And I sat down with this casting director and we had this great meeting and she's like, well, I just think you're delightful and, I'll keep you in mind for things. She's like, but I got to ask, is this whole Midwest thing you're doing, is this real or is this something you're just kind of like putting on for the meeting? Because apparently my accent was off the charts. And so I was like, no, this is really how I talk. And she's like, keep it, love it, it's great. So, but it was just such a weird, I'm like, that was like the meanest, like the weirdest thing to be called out on.
Yeah, they're like, this is just
to
me.
assume that I'm that clever, like I'm gonna like create this Midwest character. Like I know it's gonna bust me into, I know it's gonna make waves in LA. This nasal ass accent and this sweet as pumpkin pie behavior. Like
I'm gonna come in naive and talking through my nose.
Nail
ready.
It.
I'm gonna be
ready.
special.
So that was that. And then the worst advice I've ever given. That's the best I've ever gotten. The worst I've ever given. God, I give great advice, Grace.
Well, I was going to say, what's the advice that you would give to people that are either wanting to pursue improv and get into entertainment or like want to move like you did? Like, what's the thing that really you think is like the most motivating or like sound piece that you wish someone told you?
It's going to sound super cliche, but
sure.
I feel like I've had those moments I try not to look back at my past and go regret or like I should have done this different. I think that's all a big waste of time. But there was a period of my life where I was like, should I have moved out to LA when I was 20? Like I didn't move out till I was like 29. Like would I have made better strides had I come out earlier? And I've come to the place where I feel so grateful for the things I did get to accomplish that I feel like if you do, and I stayed at Second City because I loved it. I was like, I really want to do the main stage. I love improv. I followed my heart. I followed my passion. And now looking back, I'm like, I never would have gotten Workaholics if I didn't do that. I never would have gotten this if I didn't do that. I may, who knows what would have happened. But I feel like if you love where you're at, even if it's like Cleveland, Ohio, an improv theater, but you're loving what you're doing, I think if you go at it 100%, everything your path will be the way it's supposed to. Whoever's going to find you will find you.
Yeah.
The career opportunities will find you, but if you're doing it 100% with your heart. And I feel like I know this is me not interviewing you, but I feel like making your way in the way that you made your way was
Yeah.
out of your passion, out of your heart,
And
out of
trusting your gut. I'm like,
Yes.
this is something I like to do. I don't think anyone else really knows or likes this yet, but I really like it. So I'm going to keep pursuing this. And then
100%.
I think also the real thing that stuck out to me that you said earlier is just like, you never know who's going to see you. So
Yes.
you just show up your best, however that means to you every time.
100%.
And, you know, things like that, you know, you never know when it's going to pay off 10 years later and you're in Los
Yes.
Angeles and now you're on a show.
Totally. And like not worrying about the rent as
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Like trying to let go of the money,
Mhm.
like of wanting the money so bad. And believe
Yeah.
me, we all want the money. But
Sure.
like if you let go of that, I feel like that's when
Yeah.
it comes.
Yeah.
As opposed to making choices
That's
to get
great.
it.
I think that's super valid and really great. MARIBETH, thank you so much for being here. Before you go,
Thank you.
every guest that's on the podcast gets a personalized fortune cookie
Oh
from
my
us to them.
goodness.
So you can take a
Open
little.
it and eat it. Can I do it right now? Or
Yeah,
do
of
you want-
course. Yeah,
Oh,
you can
great.
read what's inside.
There's nothing inside. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
every time I'm like, did
How
we do
dark
it?
would that
Do
be?
it.
I would love it if it was just like, now can I read it to everybody?
Of course you can.
So, we actually DM'd your fortune like a year ago, but since you're never on Instagram, I guess you never got it. And the request expired, but that's fine. It's whatever. We're not mad, just a little mad.
So when you get a chance, go back and check your DMs. I think we.
I literally have never checked my DMs.
Oh my God!
I don't
Stay
know
pure.
what's in
Don't,
there.
Don't.
Should I not do it?
Don't,
but
because-
now I feel so much pressure like I should.
No. Because if hearing the fan base that you've had via Workaholics, do
Oh,
not
God.
check those
Oh my
DMs.
God, that
Do
is such a
not
good point. I
burn
wonder what's
those
in there.
DMs.
Oh my God, I'm going to burn them.
Okay, MARIBETH, where can people find you and what you're up to
I'm
as
eating
you're
the fortune
eating this?
cookie.
Yeah, the perfect timing on this.
Go ahead.
Oh, where can people find you and what you're up to?
I thought you didn't finish. It was
Oh,
the
no.
crunching in my ear. That's all I was hearing. So we have this great charity show coming up. I'd love
Yes.
to plug that.
Well,
for
this
the-
I think will go up after the charity
Oh,
show.
it will. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a part of a group called Mama's Boy. We perform at the Second City Hollywood. It's like every other month we do a show on Tuesdays. So
Awesome.
maybe check out the website there, Second City Hollywood. I'm on Twitter very rarely,
Yes.
but it's at MARIBETH MONROE. I'm on Facebook, but unfortunately I have so many friends I won't be able to friend you. Not to brag about my social media presence. So stupid. And then, I don't know when this episode of The Good Place, I just shot it a couple of weeks ago. That'll be coming out.
Great.
I'm on I just shot a pilot for CBS called Bob Hart's Abishola. That's a new Chuck Lorre show.
Sweet.
That I don't, it might be picked up by the time this airs. We'll see, or you'll never hear of it again.
Amazing.
But I hope it goes, and that hopefully will come out in the fall, maybe if we go. So
Sweet. You also have a movie called Bootstrapped, right?
Oh, so it's a television show that made it to Sundance this
okay.
year.
Yeah.
And we are shopping it around. We
Cool.
are trying to sell it.
So
that's
maybe
another thing
that will
that's
be
out
out
there.
there
Yes.
in the ether. MARIBETH,
Yes.
this was so fun. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll see you guys next time on another episode of Not Too Deep. Goodbye.
Too deep, too deep, too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Whatever struggles you are facing, from depression and anxiety to trauma and grief, BetterHelp can connect you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. It's convenient. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions or chat and text with your therapist, and anything you share is completely confidential, and it's affordable. Not Too Deep with Grace Helbig listeners even get 10% off your first month with the discount code GRACE. So get started by going to betterhelp.com/Grace and fill out a questionnaire to get matched with a counselor you'll love today. Not Too Deep is a production of Grace Helbig Incorporated, producer and edited by Melissa D. Montz, writing by Diane Kang, production assistance by Katrina Henning, post-production sound by Chris Henry, and an extra special thanks to Flula for the theme music.